Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So continuing to read from Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 11, text 49. Ate vyatama cha vimudha bhavo
Mate vyatha macha vimudha bhavo
drishtva rupam goram idrin mamedam. I'm sorry. Vyapetavi pritamana punastvam
vyopet prithamana punasvam
tadeva me rupamidam prapashya.
tad eva me rupam idam prapasya.
Somebody like to read?
I can read.
Yeah, please.
Translation. You have been perturbed and bewildered by seeing this horrible feature of mine. Now let it be finished. My devotee, be free again from all disturbances. With a peaceful mind, you can now see the form you desire. In the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna was worried about killing Bhishma and Drona, his worshipful grandfather and master. But Krishna said that he need not be afraid of killing his grandfather. When the sons of Dhritarashtra tried to disrobe Draupadi in the assembly of the Kurus, Bhishma and Drona were silent, and for such negligence of duty they should be killed. Krishna showed his universal form to Arjuna just to show him that these people were already killed for their unlawful action. That scene was shown to Arjuna because devotees are always peaceful and they cannot perform such horrible actions. The purpose of the revelation of the universal form was shown. Now Arjuna wanted to see the four-armed form and Krishna showed him. A devotee is not much interested in the universal form, for it does not enable one to reciprocate loving feelings. Either a devotee wants to offer his respectful, worshipful feelings or he wants to see the two-handed Krishna form so that he can reciprocate in loving service with the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
So Arjuna is telling Krishna, my mind is bewildered, because it's not a very pleasing form to see the universal form. Arjuna was scared. He was struck with wonder and he was scared. Imagine seeing everything happening in one place, people dying, people. He was like, it's like wondrous, wondrous. So a devotee particularly is not very attracted to see the universal form of the Lord. Arjuna just asked him to show just so that to set a criterion for us, in case somebody says that I'm Krishna. So then we know what questions to ask them. We know what to, ask them if, oh, my dear sir, can you please show me your universal form? So, of course, in this universal form, also Arjuna can see that the sons of Dhritarashtra are being killed and that the Pandavas are going to come out victorious. And Prabhupada points out, of course, that the devotee always wants to see the personal form of Krishna, not the universal form, because a devotee wants to engage in this relationship. There's a loving relationship between devotee and Krishna, like Lord Ramachandra, Hanuman. There's this exchange of love there. And how with Shabri, also Lord Ramachandra, or with Krishna, of course, you have Arjuna, you have the gopis, the gopas. Also, we have so many personalities we read in the Krishna book. So the idea is the devotee wants to personally associate with Krishna. or with his four-handed form, the Vishnu form, to offer him respect, offer adoration, devotion. But devotee is not particularly enthusiastic to associate with the universal form. He wants to associate with Krishna's personal form, to have this personal relationship. Like we love someone, we want to be with them, have some exchange with them. Yeah. So the devotee, that's why he wants to be with Krishna, to reciprocate this feelings of love with Krishna. Is that okay? Sanjay Vacha.
Sanjay Vacha.
Iti Arjunam Vasudevasthathokva.
Iti Arjunam Vasudeva Tathokva
Swakam Rupam Darshayam Asabhuya.
Swakam Rupam Darshayam Asabhuya
Ashvasayam Asachabhitam Enam.
Ashvasayam Ashacha Bhitam Enam
Bhutva Puna Saumya Vapur Mahatma.
Bhutva Puna Saumya Vapur Mahatma. Translation. Sanjay said to Dhritarashtra, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, having spoken thus to Arjuna, displayed his real four-armed form and at last showed his two-armed form, thus encouraging the fearful Arjuna. Purpose. When Krishna appeared as the son of Vasudeva and Devaki, he first of all appeared as four-armed Narayana. But when he was requested by his parents, he transformed himself into an ordinary child in appearance. Similarly, Krishna knew that Arjuna was not interested in seeing a four-handed form, but since Arjuna asked to see this four-handed form, Krishna also showed him this form again and then showed himself in his two-handed form. The word Saumya Vapu is very significant. Saumya Vapu is a very beautiful form. It is known as the most beautiful form. When he was present, everyone was attracted simply by Krishna's form, and because Krishna is the director of the universe, he just banished the fear of Arjuna, his devotee, and showed him again his beautiful form of Krishna. In the Brahma Samhita, it is stated, Premana Jana Churita Bhakti, Vilo Chanena. Only a person whose eyes are smeared with the ointment of love can see the beautiful form of Sri Krishna.
So when Krishna appeared in front of Vasudev Devaki, Janmashtami is coming up soon next month. So we all gonna celebrate Janmashtami. So then how was Krishna actually born? He's not born like how we are born, ordinary people. We are pushed out of the womb of our mother. No, he just came in front of Vasudev and Devaki. And how did he come? He came in his four-armed Narayan form. And he was beautifully clothed, wearing his beautiful clothes, his beautiful, beautiful ornaments. Yeah. And then Devaki told him, oh, can you please transform yourself into like an ordinary child, because she was afraid that, oh, Kansa will come and kill you. So out of her love, she asked Krishna, can you please transform yourself into look like an ordinary child? Now Arjuna asked to see the four-armed form and then his personal form of Krishna, the two-armed form. The original form of God is Shyam Sundar, Shyam Sundar Krishna, Rajendra Nandan Krishna in Vrindavan, two arms holding a flute, two lotus eyes, having a peacock feather in his hair. This is the original form of Krishna. And it's the most beautiful form. Krishna is all attractive. We like to see beautiful things. Krishna is the most beautiful. So how can we see Krishna everywhere? Brahmaji in his Brahma Samhita explains to us, Premanjana Charita Bhakti Vilochanena. Here we put eye makeup. So when we can smear our eyes with a salve of love, then we will be able to see Krishna everywhere. Prabhupada would give the example, just like when the mother, she sees the shoes of her son, she does not just see shoes, she immediately remembers her son. So similarly, the devotee understands everything belongs to Krishna. So devotee can see Krishna everywhere. So Arjuna Vacha,
Arjuna Uvacha
Drishtvedam Manusham Rupam,
Vedam Manusam Rupam
Tava Somyam Janardana,
Tava Somyam Janardana
Idanim Asmi Samritta,
Idanim Ashmi Samvritta
Sacheta Prakritim Gata.
Sacheta Prakritam Gata. Translation. When Arjuna thus saw Krishna in his original form, he said, O Janardana, seeing this human-like form, so very beautiful, I am now composed in mind and I am restored to my original nature. Purport. Here the words Manusam Rupam clearly indicate the Supreme Personality of Godhead to be originally two-handed. Those who decide Krishna as if he were an ordinary person are shown here to be ignorant of his divine nature. If Krishna is like an ordinary human being, then how is it possible for him to show the universal form and again to show the four-handed Narayana form? So it is very clearly stated in Bhagavad Gita that one who thinks that Krishna is an ordinary person and who misguides the reader by claiming that it is the impersonal Brahman within Krishna speaking is doing the greatest injustice. Krishna has actually shown his universal form and his four-handed Vishnu form. So how can he be an ordinary human being? A pure devotee is not confused by misguiding commentaries on Bhagavad Gita because he knows what is what. The original verses of Bhagavad Gita are as clear as the sun. They do not require lamplight from foolish commentators.
When the sun is out, we don't need to use our lamps because the sun is out. Or what's the use of it? So Prabhupada is explaining, Krishna himself is speaking about himself here in Bhagavad Gita. So we just simply have to hear what Krishna is saying to understand the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. We don't need to misinterpret it or confuse others. So someone may think that Krishna is an ordinary person. Oh, yes, I know Krishna. He was born 5,000 years ago, but someone may have ideas that he's actually just like an ordinary person. But no, Bhagavad Gita, every page Krishna is being declared as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna is not an ordinary person. Krishna is God. He's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ordinary person cannot show the universal form, cannot show the Narayan form, but Krishna can because they are his forms. It's nothing great for Krishna. It's his, belongs to him. So Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And a pure devotee. And that's the reason we are always advised to hear Bhagavad Gita from the pure devotee, because a devotee can understand Krishna. And so a devotee can tell us about Krishna. When we understand something, we can explain it nicely. When we ourselves don't understand some subject matter, we are not able to explain it nicely. So devotee understands Krishna, so he is able to tell us about Krishna. He's able to tell us the truth. Shri Bhagwan Vachan.
Bhagavana Uvacha
Sudurdarsham idam rupam.
Sudurdarsham idam rupam
Drishtvan asiyan mama.
Drishtavan asiyan mama
Deva api asya rupasya.
Deva api asya rupasya
Nityam darshana kankshina.
Nityam darshana kanchina. Translation: The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, My dear Arjuna, this form of mine you are now seeing is very difficult to behold. Even the demigods are ever seeking the opportunity to see this so dear. Purport: In the 48th verse of this chapter, Lord Krishna concluded, revealing his universal form, and informed Arjuna that this form is not possible to be seen by so many pious activities, sacrifices, etc. Now, here the word tu Durdarsham is used, indicating that Krishna's two-handed form is still more confidential. One may be able to see the universal form of Krishna by adding a little pinch of devotional service to various activities like penances, Vedic study, and philosophical speculation. It may be possible, but without a tinge of bhakti, one cannot see that has already been explained. Still beyond that universal form, the form of Krishna with two hands is still more difficult to see, even for demigods like Brahma and Lord Shiva. The desire to see him, and we have evidence in the Srimad Bhagavatam that when he was supposed to be in the womb of his mother Devaki, all the demigods from heaven came to see the marvel of Krishna, and they offered nice prayers to the Lord, although he was not at that time visible to them. They waited to see him. A foolish person may deride him, thinking him an ordinary person, and may offer respect not to him, but to the impersonal something within him. But these are all nonsensical postures. Krishna, in his two-armed form, is actually desired to be seen by demigods like Brahma and Shiva. In Bhagavad Gita, it is also confirmed. Avad jananti mam mudha manusim tanum ashritam. He is not visible to the foolish persons who deride him. Krishna's body, as confirmed by Brahma Samhita and confirmed by Krishna himself in Bhagavad Gita, is completely spiritual and full of bliss and eternality. His body is never like a material body. But for some who make a study of Krishna by reading Bhagavad Gita or similar Vedic scripture, Krishna is a problem. For one, using a material process, Krishna is considered to be a very historical personality and very learned philosopher. But he is an ordinary man, and even though he was so powerful, he had to accept a material body. Ultimately, they think that the absolute truth is impersonal. Therefore, they think that from his impersonal feature, he assumed a personal feature attached to material nature. This is a materialistic calculation of the Supreme Lord. Another calculation is speculative. Those who are in search of knowledge also speculate on Krishna and consider him to be less important than the universal form of the Supreme. Thus, some think that the universal form of Krishna, which was manifested to Arjuna, is more important than his personal form. According to them, the personal form of the Supreme is something imaginary. They believe that in the ultimate issue, the absolute truth is not a person, but the transcendental process is described in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4. To hear about Krishna from authorities, that is the actual Vedic process, and those who are actually in the Vedic line
hear about Krishna from authority, and by repeated hearing about him, Krishna becomes clear. As we have several times discussed, Krishna is covered by his yoga maya potency. He is not to be seen or revealed to anyone and everyone. Only by one to whom he reveals himself can he be seen. This is confirmed in the Vedic literature. For one who is a surrendered soul, the absolute truth can actually be understood. The transcendentalist, by continuous Krishna consciousness and by devotional service to Krishna, can have his spiritual eyes opened and can see Krishna by revelation. Such a revelation is not possible even for the demigods. Therefore, it is difficult even for the demigods to understand Krishna, and the advanced demigods are always in hope of seeing Krishna in his two-handed form. The conclusion is that although to see the universal form of Krishna is very, very difficult and not possible for anyone and everyone, it is still more difficult to understand his personal form as Shama Sundara.
So Krishna is telling Arjuna, now you're able to see this two-arm form is very difficult, you know. So even great demigods, when they are in a problem, they can't see Krishna in the two-arm form. They just go to the most powerful demigods, they go to the milk ocean, to the Shvetadvip, where Lord Vishnu is there, a Paramatma, Shirodakshai Vishnu. And that also not everyone can see him. They can only hear him. Sometimes they may be able to see him. Like when there's a problem, they approach him. Then they can just hear him sometimes. So Krishna seeing in his personal form is very, very difficult, even to such great personalities as Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. What to speak of us? But this is Krishna's original form. We think that something that I don't believe in, it is not true. But the absolute truth is not affected by our belief or by our faith. The truth is the truth. Whether we believe in it, whether we don't believe in it, does not affect the truth. Krishna, his two-armed form, is the original form of God. And that is the truth which is declared in all the Vedas. And Krishna himself is saying it. So Krishna's form, his body, we think is same like ours, that we are the soul, and but our body is different, and we are inside this body covered by this blood and skin and mucus and bile. And so we think it's the same for Krishna. But no, there's no difference between Krishna's body and Krishna's soul. Krishna's form is transcendental. He has not taken a material body. His body is spiritual. Lord Brahma is telling us, Satchidananda Vigraha. Krishna's body is Satchid Ananda, eternal, full of bliss, full of knowledge. Krishna himself is saying, those who can understand the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities never take birth again. Krishna is also saying that his form is transcendental. It's not that Krishna's body is material and that he's subjected to the laws of karma. No, Krishna's body is spiritual. He has a spiritual body, not a material body. We have a material body, but Krishna is God, so his body is spiritual. Even though he's coming to this material world, his body is spiritual. So Bhagavatam tells us that how when Krishna was in the womb of his mother Devaki, all the demigods would come, offer prayers because they wanted to see him. It's very difficult for them, for anyone to see Krishna, because Krishna is in Golok Vrindavan. That's the highest planet of the spiritual world. So how to see him? So the demigods also were taking an opportunity when Krishna came 5,000 years ago, the demigods also came. They wanted to be with Krishna. So many of them took their birth as associates of Krishna to have these pastimes with Krishna. So it's not that we have to find out something inside of Krishna. No, Krishna, we have to come to understand that Krishna is the goal. Yeah. That he is God. There's nothing beyond Krishna. Nothing is greater than or equal to Krishna. No one is greater than or equal to Krishna. Krishna is a person. And the Brahma Jyoti, that is the light which is coming from his body. And the Paramatma is a feature by which he is pervading the entire universe. He has entered into every atom of the universe and the Paramatma feature, as well as in the heart of everyone. So Krishna's body is spiritual, transcendental. It is Sat, eternal, Chit, full of knowledge, and Ananda, full of bliss. And Krishna says, one who can understand that my nature and appearance and qualities, pastimes, they are transcendental. No need to take birth in the material world again. Just by understanding that Krishna's body is spiritual, transcendental, his leelas are transcendental, his qualities are transcendental, one can go back home, back to Godhead. No need to take birth again in this material world. So it's not that God is the actual ultimate God is just some light, and then from this light, Krishna is coming. No, the light is coming from Krishna's body. Krishna exists, and the light is the aura coming from his body. Like we see the sunshine is coming from the sun planet, or we switch on the lamp in our room, the bulb. So the light is coming from the bulb. It's not that the light is there and then the bulb is coming from the light. No, it's not that the sunshine is there and then from the sunshine the sun is coming. No, it's the sun is there and sunshine is coming from the sun. The bulb is there and the light is coming from the bulb. So Krishna is a person, God is a person. It's the most beautiful person. And to understand Krishna, that's why we need to hear from the authorities, hear from Bhagavad Gita, from Bhagavatam. And we need to regularly hear. We may say, oh, I already heard it 10 years ago. No, regularly hearing, constant hearing about Krishna. The more we hear, the more we will be able to understand Krishna. The more we can revive our love for Krishna. So, hearing and chanting the holy name. Krishna says, Bhaktya mam abhijanati. I can be known only by devotion, not by anything else. So by a little bit of devotion, one can see the universal form. Of course, doing a lot of austerity and penances, but devotion needs to be there. So to see this two-armed form also, one needs to have devotion, one needs to have love of Krishna. Then Krishna reveals himself. So,
may I know? I have a question.
Yeah.
So, what is impersonal feature?
The light, the Brahman, Brahma Jyoti.
Okay.
Brahma Jyoti is actually the spiritual sky. And that spiritual, so the preliminary understanding is, people say that God is light. But when we do further research, we can understand that God is a person and the light is coming from his body.
Okay.
And in this spiritual sky actually is situated unlimited number of spiritual planets. The Vaikuntha planets are situated in this Brahmajyoti. So reading on. Naham vede na tapasa.
Naham vede na tapasa.
Na dane na chej yaya.
Na danena chechyaya.
Shakya evam vido drashtum.
Sakya evam vidho drashtum.
Drishtavan asimam yatha.
Drishtavan asimam yata. Translation. The form you're seeing with your transcendental eyes cannot be understood simply by studying the Vedas, nor by undergoing serious penances, nor by charity, nor by worship. It is not by these means that one can see me as I am. Krishna first appeared before his parents Devaki and Vasudeva in a four-handed form, and then he transformed himself in the two-handed form. This mystery is very difficult to understand for those who are atheists or who are devoid of devotional service. For scholars who have simply studied Vedic literature by way of grammatical knowledge or mere academic qualification, Krishna is not possible to understand, nor is he to be understood by persons who officially go to the temple to offer worship. They make their visit, but they cannot understand Krishna as he is. Krishna can be understood only through the path of devotional service, as explained by Krishna himself in the next verse.
So bhaktya mam abhijanati, by devotion I can be known. He's saying you can study the Vedas. If we are just, our goal is just, oh, I should have knowledge. But what is that? Why do we need this knowledge? What is the knowledge needed for? It's needed for us to understand Krishna, that we have a loving relationship with Krishna. That is what is the knowledge needed for. And that is the supreme knowledge. Preliminary knowledge is that I'm the soul, not the body. But then a higher understanding is that I'm a part and parcel of Krishna, a loving relationship with Krishna. So Krishna is saying that, yes, you can't see me just by doing some austerity or penance or some worship. No, by devotion, by love, you can see me. So not by merely trying to get academic. I'm just an academic scholar. But by that, we will not be able to see Krishna. We will not be able to understand Krishna. Krishna can be understood by devotion. Devotional service begins by hearing about Krishna from Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Bhaktyatva Ananya Shakya.
Bhaktyatva ananya shakya.
Aham evam vidorcha.
Aham
Aham
evam
evam vidro Arjuna.
Gyatum drashtum cha tatvena.
gyatum drashtum cha tatvena.
Cha tatvena.
Praveshtum cha parantapa.
Pravishtam cha parantapa.
Let's see if someone else would like to read.
Okay, I can read.
Okay.
My dear Arjuna, only by undivided devotional service can I be understood as I am, standing before you, and can thus be seen directly. Only in this way can you enter into the mysteries of my understanding. Krishna can be understood only by the process of undivided devotional service. He explicitly explains this in the verse so that unauthorized commentators who try to understand Bhagavad Gita by the speculative process will know that they are simply wasting their time. No one can understand Krishna or how he came from parents in a four-handed form and at once changed himself into a two-handed form. These things are very difficult to understand by study of the Vedas or by philosophical speculation. Therefore, it is clearly stated here that no one can see him or enter into understanding of these matters. Those who, however, are very experienced students of Vedic literature can learn about him from the Vedic literature in so many ways. There are so many rules and regulations, and if one at all wants to understand Krishna, he must follow the regulative principles described in the authoritative literature. One can perform penance in accordance with those principles. For example, to undergo serious penances, one may observe fasting on Janmashtami, the day on which Krishna appeared, and on the 2 days of Ekadashi, the 11th day after the new moon, and the 11th day after the full moon. As far as charity is concerned, it is plain that charity should be given to the devotees of Krishna who are engaged in his devotional service to spread the Krishna philosophy or Krishna consciousness throughout the world. Krishna consciousness is a benediction to humanity. Lord Chaitanya was appreciated by Rupa Goswami as the most munificent man of charity because love of Krishna, which is very difficult to achieve, was distributed freely by him. So, if one gives some amount of his money to persons involved in distributing Krishna consciousness, that charity given to spread Krishna consciousness is the greatest charity in the world. And if one worships as prescribed in the temples in India, there is always some statue, usually of Vishnu or Krishna. That is a chance to progress by offering worship and respect to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For the beginners in devotional service to the Lord, temple worship is essential, and this is confirmed in the Vedic literature. Yasya deva para bhaktir yatha deva tatha gurau tasyate kathita he artha prakashante mahatmana. One who has unflinching devotion for the Supreme Lord and is directed by the spiritual master, in whom he has similar unflinching faith, can see the Supreme Personality of Godhead by revelation. One cannot understand Krishna by mental speculation. For one who does not take personal training under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master, it is impossible to even begin to understand Krishna. The word tu is specifically used here to indicate that no other process can be used, can be recommended, or can be successful in understanding Krishna. The personal forms of Krishna, the two-handed form and the four-handed, are described as Sudur Darsam, very difficult to see. They are completely different from the temporary universal form shown to Arjuna. The four-handed form of Narayana and the two-handed form of Krishna are eternal and transcendental, whereas the universal form exhibited to Arjuna is temporary. The words Twad Anena Na Drishtapurvam state that before Arjuna, no one had seen that universal form. Also, they suggest that amongst the devotees, there was no necessity of showing it. That form was exhibited by Krishna at the request of Arjuna so that in the future, when one represents himself as an incarnation of God, people can ask to see his universal form. The word na used repeatedly in the previous verse indicates that one should not be very much proud of such credentials as an academic education in Vedic literature. One must take to the devotional service of Krishna. Only then can one attempt to write commentaries on Bhagavad Gita. Krishna changes from the universal form to the four-handed form of Narayana and then to his own natural form of two hands. This indicates that the four-hand forms and other forms mentioned in Vedic literature are all emanations of the original two-handed Krishna. He is the origin of all emanations. Krishna is distinct even from these forms, for to speak of the impersonal conception. As far as the four-handed forms of Krishna are concerned, it is stated clearly that even the most identical four-handed form of Krishna, which is known as Mahavishnu, who is lying on the cosmic ocean and from whose breathing so many innumerable universes are passing out and entering, is also an expansion of the Supreme Lord, as stated in the Brahma Samhita. Yasya nishwasita kalam athavalambya जीवंती लोमा विलाजा जगद अंधा नाथा विष्णुर महान सा इहा यस्य कला विशेषो गोविंदम आदि पुरुषम तम aham bhajami. The Mahavishnu into whom all the innumerable universes enter and from whom they come forth again simply by his breathing process is a plenary expansion of Krishna. Therefore, I worship Govinda, Krishna, the cause of all causes. Therefore, one should conclusively worship the personal form of Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead who has eternal bliss and knowledge. He is the source of all forms of Vishnu. He is the source of all forms of incarnation, and he is the original Supreme Personality as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. In the Vedic literature, Gopala Tapani Upanishad, the following statement appears: Satchit Anand Rupaya Krishna Klishta Karine Namo Vedanta Vedya Guruve Buddhi Sakshine. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Krishna, who has a transcendental form of bliss, eternity, and knowledge. I offer my respect to him because understanding him means understanding the Vedas, and he is therefore the supreme spiritual master. Then it is said, Krishna vai paramam devatam. Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. Gopala Tapni Upanishad, Eko Vasi Sarva Ga Krishna Ida. That one Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, and he is worshipable. Eko Pisan Bahudha Yo Vabhati. Krishna is one, but he is manifested in unlimited forms and expanded incarnations. The Brahma Samhita says, so the last one was from Gopala Tapani Upanishad. The Brahma Samhita says, Ishvara Brahma Krishna, Ishvara Parama Krishna, Satchidananda Vigraha, Anandir Adir Govinda, Sarva Karanam Karanam. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is Krishna, who has a body of eternity, knowledge, and bliss. He has no beginning, for he is the beginning of everything. He is the cause of all causes. Elsewhere it is said, Yatra Vatirnam Krishna Khyam Param Brahma Narakriti. The Supreme Absolute Truth is a person. His name is Krishna, and he sometimes descends on this earth. Similarly, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, we find a description of all kinds of incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And in this list, the name of Krishna also appears. But then it is said that this Krishna is not an incarnation of God, but is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. Ete Chamsa Kala Pumsa Krishna tu Bhagwan Swayam. Similarly, in Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says, Mata Prataram Nanyat. There is nothing superior to my forms as the personality of Godhead Krishna. He also says elsewhere in the Bhagavad Gita, Aham Adir Hi Devanam. I am the origin of all the demigods. And after understanding Bhagavad Gita from Krishna, Arjuna also confirms this in the following words. Param Brahma Param Dham Pavitram Paramam Bhavan. I now fully understand that you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Absolute Truth, and that you are the refuge of everything. Therefore, the universal form which Krishna showed to Arjuna is not the original form of God. The original is the Krishna form. The universal form with its thousands and thousands of heads and hands is manifest just to draw the attention of those who have no love for God. It is not God's original form. The universal form is not attractive for pure devotees who are in love with the Lord in different transcendental relationships. The Supreme Godhead exchanges transcendental love in his original form of Krishna. Therefore, to Arjuna, who was so intimately related with Krishna in friendship, this form of the universal manifestation was not pleasing. Rather, it was fearful. Arjuna, who was a constant companion of Krishna's, must have had transcendental eyes. He was not an ordinary man. Therefore, he was not captivated by the universal form. This form may seem wonderful to persons who are involved in elevating themselves by fruitive activities, but to persons who are engaged in devotional service, the two-handed form of Krishna is the most dear.
So we can see that Prabhupada is giving us so much evidence from the different scriptures to help us understand the original form of God, Krishna, two-armed, you know, uh, holding the flute, having peacock feather in his hair. It's Govindam Adipurusham Tam Aham Bhajami. That's Lord Govinda. You are my seed-giving father, says Lord Brahma. So Krishna is saying that only by undivided devotional service can we understand Krishna and can we see him, can have a relationship with him. Undivided devotional service. So it's not by scholarship, not by austerity, penances. No, by undivided devotional service. So Krishna was there, two-armed Krishna. He's speaking the Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna told him, show me your universal form. Krishna shows him. Then Arjuna asked to see the four-armed form. Krishna shows him. Then Arjuna again tells him, you kindly again come back to your original form. And then Krishna comes back to his original two-armed form. So this two-armed form of Krishna is the original form of God. Like there are so many candles, that you can light. There is one candle which is lit, and with this candle, you can light so many other candles. And they all are giving equal light, but yet there is one original candle. That is Krishna, Shamsundar Krishna. And from him is coming expansions, Vishnu expansion, Narayan expansion, the Purusha avatars who are creating, maintaining, annihilating this universe. Ma Vishnu, Garbhodakshay Vishnu, Shirodakshay Vishnu. They're all coming from Krishna. So when one engages, Prabhupada is explaining, when one is engaging penance, then undergo penance such as fasting on Janmashtami, Ekadashi. Madhav Tithi Bhakti Janani, writes Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Madhav Tithi Bhakti Janani, when we observe fasting on Janmashtami, Ramnavami, appearance day of Lord Nishingadev, and the Ekadashi days which come, then that gives rise to devotion in our heart. In charity, Prabhupada is explaining what is the most highest charity. Lord Chaitanya is appreciated as the most munificent, most compassionate, that of all the givers of charity, Lord Chaitanya is the best. Why? Because he's giving love of Krishna to everyone. We are not qualified, yet he's coming and giving freely love of Krishna without any pride, without any qualification. He's saying, take it. And this is the highest charity. Love of Krishna. Each of us has love of Krishna, but we have forgotten it. So giving charity to persons who are engaged in this work of Lord Chaitanya, spreading Krishna consciousness, that is highest charity, because it's helping everyone to revive their love for Krishna. So everyone is being benefited. So that's how it's the highest charity. Rupa Goswami is saying if one can give charity to Rupa Goswami is saying that Lord Chaitanya is the most munificent, Mahavadanyaya. And so charity can be given to the devotees who are involved in spreading Krishna consciousness. That's the best charity. Janmashtami is coming up. Janmashtami is a good time to give charity to Krishna consciousness movement. Good time to do some book distribution, give donations, distribute Bhagavad Gita. So, and then our heart can get purified. We can also proceed, we can advance further in our spiritual life. So Shveteshvatara Upanishad And for beginners, we are all beginners. We are all neophytes. We have just begun devotional service. For us, temple worship is essential. So giving charity to maintain the temples, it gives us great spiritual benefit. Worshipping the deity, it gives us great spiritual benefit. So Svateshvatara Upanishad says, Yasya deve parabhaktir yatha deve tatha guru. So one who has unflinching devotion in both the spiritual master and God. So equal faith in Guru and Krishna. Not one is more faith in one and less faith in other. No, equal faith, unflinching faith. One will be able to understand Krishna. One can understand all the Vedas. All the Vedas will be revealed to the person who has complete faith in Guru and Krishna. So Krishna, we cannot understand him by our imagination or, Krishna should be like this or Krishna must be like that. No, but we hear about Krishna from the devotees, from Bhagavatam, from Bhagavad Gita. That's how we can be able to understand Krishna in truth. So Prabhupada is again pointing out that the two-armed form of Krishna is very difficult to see. Very difficult to see Krishna as he is. So the universal form, it belongs to Krishna. The universal form is temporary. It does not exist in the spiritual world. Universal form is here for those of us who are not able to understand that God has a form. We say universal energy, universal power. So universal form to bring us to the understanding that God has a form so that we can begin our worship to God as a person. So devotional service, only by devotional service can we be able to understand Krishna. And that's the reason we should hear Bhagavad Gita only from devotees, because devotees can understand Krishna. And so if we hear from devotees, then we will have the proper understanding of Krishna. So Krishna is, as we said, that there are so many candles, but yet one original candle. So that is Krishna. So many incarnations are coming from him. Chete samsa, ete chete cha amsha kala pumsa, Krishnastu Bhagwan Swayam, says Srimad Bhagavatam. There are so many incarnations, so many expansions. But Krishna is the original personality of Godhead. All the expansions, all the incarnations are coming from this two-armed form of Krishna. Govindam Adipurusham, Tam Aham Vachami, says Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma is saying that Mahavishnu is the one from who this entire material world is created. He is an expansion of Krishna. And he's saying that's why I worship Govinda. He worships Krishna. So Lord Brahma is an authority. He's a pure devotee. So we hear from Lord Brahma. So the form of Krishna is Satchidananda. It's not a material form. It is full of knowledge, full of bliss, and full of it's eternal. Eternal. Gopal Tapani Upanishad also says that Krishna's form is Satchidananda. So we can see all the Vedas, the Vedic authorities, they are saying Krishna is God, his form is eternal, transcendental. Krishna is the supreme worshipable. So Lord Brahma, he is saying Ishvara Parama Krishna, Satchidananda Vigra, Anadir Adir Govinda, Sarva Karana Karana. So Krishna is the cause of all causes. He is the beginning. Everything exists because Krishna exists. Everything belongs to Krishna. Everyone belongs to Krishna. there's either Krishna or Krishnas. Krishna himself or belonging to Krishna. We are all belonging to Krishna. The demigods belong to Krishna. Each and every one of us belongs to Krishna. So Bhagavatam himself says that although Krishna's name is coming in one of the incarnations, Krishna is not an incarnation. He's the original form of God. He's the one from whom all the incarnations are coming. It's from Krishna that all the incarnations come. Ete chamsa kalapumsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. He's the original personality of Godhead. From him is coming all other expansions, all Vishnu expansions, all Narayan expansions are coming from Krishna. Krishna himself is saying in the Bhagavad Gita, there is nothing superior to my form as the personality of Godhead. Mata parataram nanyat kinchit asti dhananjay. Mata parataram nanyat, he says. And he's saying, so the demigods, are the demigods separate from Krishna? No, demigods also coming from Krishna. Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, they also coming from Krishna. And so Arjuna is understanding, oh, I now understand that you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You are the cause of all causes. The original form of Krishna, the original form of God is the two-armed form. Two arms. And the devotee wants to see this form so that he can love Krishna. Devotee loves Krishna. He wants to serve Krishna. When we love someone, we want to serve them. We want to be with them. We want to do things with them or do things for them. So this is what the devotee and the relationship with Krishna is. So the devotee wants to be with Krishna, to be able to serve him, to please him. Yeah, so we need to hear from Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, from the devotees and chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Then Krishna is pleased to reveal himself to us. Krishna reveals his so that we can understand him. Is that okay? Any questions or comments?
Hello.
Yes.
Yes. One thing I want to share. Yeah, Krishna is a supreme. All of us, even we, generate from him. He is a supreme. One thing I want to say that during, you know how his death happened. Uh, uh, on his toe, no, somebody threw an arrow. During when he
Yeah.
was there, so he died, no. So this all Pandavas and all, they do cremation, no. Whole body was burned, but this heart, no, heart was not still was alive. So that heart, no, still it is in Jaganpuri. This in Bengal, Jagannath Puri, you know, and every 12 years they change. I mean to say that Krishna still, so many years have passed, still that heart is no still alive. And before
So
that
we
also,
have to, yeah.
is from there, only there. But this generally I want to share that when this happened, no, all Pandavas, no, they burned their Krishna's body, no, but heart was still pumping. So always surprise. Then as the time passes by, instructions were given to. Then it was transferred to Jagannath Puri. So Jagannath Puri is still there. Still, it is there. God is there. Not died.
Yeah,
You might
so
be
we
knowing.
also have to understand that Krishna's body can never be burnt. Krishna is transcendental. Krishna can never die.
Never die. Yeah, I agree.
So Krishna, when the
It was a
arrow hit Krishna, we can understand that one tiny arrow hitting on the toe can never kill someone.
no. It was yani Krishna.
So Krishna did this Leela.
Leela,
He
Leela.
did
Yeah,
this
yeah.
Leela because he had to go back to the spiritual world. So
Yeah,
Krishna
yeah.
goes back to the spiritual world. And
Yeah, yeah.
for people in his spiritual body, he goes to the spiritual world. But for the atheist, he leaves behind a body. So, because the atheists don't want to understand that Krishna has a spiritual body. And so, for that reason, Krishna left behind a material body for the atheists, because the atheists want to believe that. So he left them. He said, okay, you want to continue believing that, you can believe. Krishna can never die. He left. He had to go back to the spiritual world. His leelas were coming to an end. Nobody can die with a small arrow being pierced in a foot.
It
Nobody
was
dies with that. This was just a leela Krishna did. And it's clearly mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam. You can hear in Bhagavatam 11th canto how this leela happens. And then how Krishna goes to the spiritual world in his Satchitananda body, and he just leaves behind this material body for the atheist to continue believing what they want to believe.
yeah,
So, point to understand Krishna is transcendental, always existing,
yeah,
always
true.
exists. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. We'll end here for today.
Thank
Thank you. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.